Watch your mouth talking all that noise. You can hate all you want, but we still them boys. Dirty, dirty D, Texas where we stay at. Being inside in order till you know that's where we play at. Hey, this year, this the payback. Yeah, we them Cowboys, and nah, we don't play that. Work. This is Cowboy Nation. Work. Welcome to Cowboy Nation. Work. Y'all can keep on hate. Work.
Cowboys Nation. Cowboys Nation. Cowboys Nation. We're back. Holidays is over with. The weekend is over with. And we have 2 days, Wanye Thomas, amount of days away from the Philadelphia Eagles. Speaking of Wanye Thomas, we're supposed to get an interview with him before Thursday, before the actual game. So we'll bring over some of those questions. Maybe when we go live, we're going to go live at 5 p.m. On Thursday, a little preview before the game. Get everybody ready for those people getting off work, things of that nature. So that should be really, really, really exciting. I will say that don't forget the watch party when we go live. I'm going to be going live from Hillside Social, which is our official watch party. Happy hour will start at 5 p.m. And we'll be ready for the game. We have specials on our ribs, specials on the wings, and of course specials on the drinks. So come out, make it a Cowboys Nation celebration. Don't forget it's brought to you by 1-833 I'm hit. Again, that's 1-833 I'm hit. It's the car wreck attorneys at 1-833-644-6448. If you ever get hurt in a automobile accident or a truck accident, then give them a phone call at 1-833 I'm hit. So today we're going to talk about defense. We're going to talk about the defense going into this first game of the year. I'm so excited. I'm tired of everybody's assumptions. I know if you look at my projections of the year, you will remember that I have this game as a loss. Now, don't jump on me. We have a chance of winning this game, but there are some things that are really, really, really against us. And no, it's not that we don't have Michael Parsons. That's not one of the things that I consider being really, really, really against us. The stuff that I consider is history, right? History is on their side. The last 25 years, the returning Super Bowl champion has won 20 of the 25 games. I mean, that's pretty serious history being in their favor and not in ours. The other thing is Jalen Hurts hasn't lost an opening game yet in all the years that he's been the quarterback. And I would really like to be the one to end that drought. I promise you, I want to be the one to end that drought. So let's kind of talk about what it actually takes in order for us to win, and this is coming from the defensive side of the ball. No Michael Parsons, obviously we've said that. So I think that should be the first thing that we talk about, where the quarterback pressure is going to come from. We understand that if you want to get Jalen Hurts off his game, the easiest way is to rattle him, to get his feet moving and his eyes not looking in the right direction. Things of that nature. When he has to rely solely on his arm and is not comfortable in the pocket, that's when he starts to make mistakes, throw interceptions. And I still believe that we can do that. Like I said, even without Michael Parsons, we talked about it beforehand. We still have Dante Fowler. We still have Donovan Ezeraku. I've said it 100 times. I really want to see what he's about. If he can be as good as the coaches are saying that he is, I haven't seen it in the preseason yet. So that's why I haven't just jumped all on it and, oh, yeah, he's going to be the greatest. I just haven't seen it. I'd like to believe that he could be a disruptive force in getting to the quarterback, but I don't know that. I have absolutely no idea if that's going to be a situation. But let's just assume that he is. I would be confident that between Dante Fowler and him, and if we can get James Houston, even though I was watching Broadus said that James Houston may not actually be game day ready. He may not actually play this game, and not because of injury, just because he won't be on the final game day roster. So if not, then we'll have to rely on Dante. We'll have to rely on Marshawn Nealon, and we'll have to rely on Donovan Ezeraku. We should still get pressure from Oso Digizua, and we're going to get pressure from our brand new player, which is Kenny Clark. He has more sacks than even Oso Digizua does from that defensive tackle position. And I actually haven't looked that stat up. I heard someone else say that, and it was one of the more reliable people, but I didn't personally look that up. But from what I remember, is that they were saying that Kenny Clark has more sacks than Oso Digizua. And I'm pleased with the amount of sacks that Oso Digizua has gotten and the pressures that he's able to give. So if we get a pressure push up the middle, along with these pressure pushes from the edges, I think that we'll be still in a good situation. Again, it's hard to replace a Micah Parsons, but we have some really good talent in that situation. So the next thing that we have to be able to do is stop the run. We got to be able to stop the run. And what we're hoping is two things. I've been talking since the beginning of preseason. And if you really look at this defense in the preseason, even the scheme is better at stopping the run, right? I said it forever, especially about Dan Quinn's defense, not necessarily about Zimmer's defense, but especially about Dan Quinn's defense, that our biggest problem was the run, is that it was heavy on the pass. It actually gave up gaps because we were guessing on whether or not they were running or if they were passing. And if we assumed that they were passing, we were all ears at trying to get to the quarterback. And if they ran a draw, it was over with. Nobody was in position. And that didn't put us in a very good position as far as our run defense was concerned. I think Matt Eberflus's defense is a little bit different. I think that it's a little more sound when it comes to defense. So maybe you don't get the multiple, pin your ears back. And, those are the things that causes the interceptions. Those are the things that causes the sack fumbles and things like that. And you may not get that in the scheme, but the other thing that you won't get is gaping holes in the middle. So we have an opportunity now with Kenny Clark that you can watch the videos, and he has shown, I don't care what anybody say, even though he had a down year last year, he's healed. I'm looking at the age. Kenny Clark has at least 2 or 3 more years in him where he can play at a very high level. And I expect this Pro Bowl defensive tackle to play like a Pro Bowl defensive tackle when he's not playing on a broken toe all year. So you can miss me with all the information about how bad his year was last year and sending me stats on X and all of those things about how bad Kenny Clark was last year. It doesn't mean anything to me. He literally played with a broken toe for 16 or 15 games. And you got to love that. I mean, we don't have players that play on broken anything. We get finger aches and we got to sit out for 3 weeks. So somebody who's actually looking to push forward, I love it. And I think that he's going to be a leader on this team. And I think we're going to do a better job of stopping the run. Now, with that being said, we're playing Saquon Barkley. He's not exactly the easiest person to stop in his, just by himself. But we've been stopping him. I mean, he's playing for the Giants and we was whooping them. Obviously, this is more about their offensive line, which isn't the same offensive line as it was last year, but it should still be a pretty good offensive line. And this is about that offensive line and how good they are versus how good we are. And I think we have an opportunity to actually make it happen. So when you look at it as a combination, Matt Eberflus's defensive scheme with better run stoppers in the middle and still a good pass rush, I think we have an opportunity to keep them from running up the score. Am I saying the Super Bowl champion, the defending Super Bowl champions won't score at all? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I think we have an opportunity to keep them from running up the score. I still believe you can go back and watch my previous podcast that's on the offense. We're going to put up 35, 40 points. We are. That's what we're going to do. We're going to put up 30, 35 points. So our defense has an opportunity to hold them under 30. We do have some issues in the secondary that really hasn't been addressed, okay? We talked about rushing the passer. We talked about stopping the run. And I'm going to assume that Trayvon Diggs is playing. They said 75 or 80%. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. So my assumption is Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, and Kyer Elam being our three corners. And just saying that out loud sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good. I don't know where Trayvon Diggs is mentally and physically. I feel like physically he's going to be all right. Mentally, where he is, for a couple of reasons. I think the Micah Parsons situation will have a small effect on him just in his mind. I mean, he kind of stood up for him. He was there when we weren't when we were asking Micah questions and he didn't want to answer the questions. It would be Trayvon Diggs that would stand up and say things, and then now all of a sudden Micah's not there. I think mentally you start to question what's going on. If they're really mad at him, are they going to be upset with me for kind of joining in? What's my fate, my history with the Cowboys? You got my people over at Attack on Cowboys saying trade the man, trade him immediately. And I think that some of those things are going to be there. So that's going to affect his mental a little bit. But physically, I feel like he'll be there. And if he can get past that mental part of it, knowing that, you know, mentally, you also got to know that your body can do some of the things that it thinks about, right? So as an athlete, your mind tells you to do something. And then when you're completely healthy, you think about it. I remember when I was playing and I'd have the ball in my hand and I'm looking and I could see somebody and I get ready to make a move, whatever the move is, a stiff arm, ducking my shoulders, try to cut in between two people, whatever it is, my mind thought about it and then my body did it. Well, when I was injured or when I came back from an injury, when my mind thought about it, my mind next thought about, well, can I even still do that? And that's one of those things that you have to work your way through. Practice allows you to try to get some of those things in, right? There's some things that you try to do and you be like, ooh, I didn't get that one quite right. And then you try to do it a couple of times and be like, okay, well, yeah, I can still do that. But the game time speed is just a little bit different. And sometimes it may take 1 or 2 games to actually get into that. And I'm hoping that even though it's going to take a couple of games, that he can still do a decent job. So a good, healthy Trayvon Diggs with the Kyer Elam and a Deron Bland actually gives us a really good opportunity to line up with their wide receivers. And again, when you put all these things together, we have an opportunity to shock the world. We have an opportunity to show the people who believe that we won't win but 7 games that, hey, the Cowboys are for real this year. I don't even have them winning this game, and I still have them going 11-6 this year, okay? This isn't the team that people are telling you. This isn't the team that's only going to win 5 games. That's only going to win 7 games, 7.5 games. My guy from Vegas is going to be starting with us next week, and we're going to be talking about parlays. And one of the things that we talked about today was putting money on the fact that the Cowboys are going to win more than 7.5 games. And there's some money in that, and you can add that to a parlay, but you can bet on it. I can guarantee you that. So, but we are going to have once a week, we're going to be talking about the parlays, specifically Cowboys parlays and different stuff like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun, having an opportunity to get in with my good friend, old Prince, that's out in Vegas, and he's going to give us some good nuggets about where to put our money when it comes to those parlays. So let's just have a recap. Our defensive secondary is probably going to be okay with Trayvon Diggs there. Our run defense from the interior of our defensive line is going to be good. From the edges, we're not going to have people that's running upfield trying to get the sack and letting people run by them. And our pass rush should be okay as well. Maybe not as good as with Micah, but still a decent pass rush. That's a hard team to beat. A team where your wide receivers ain't running by everybody, a team that you can't just run the ball on, a team that's going to go get back there and get sacks or at least get pressures. That is a hard defense to beat. This isn't a game where you expect for them to be running 30 and 40 points on us and us to have to keep up with it. And I know we have, like, what would be the difference? Again, that's why we play the game, right? That's say any given Sunday. Well, this is a Thursday, but it's the same situation. That's why we play the game. You put it on paper. I don't care what anybody has to say. The Cowboys have just as good of an opportunity to win this ball game as the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, that's all I have for you today. I will be back tomorrow. Christopher Murdow, the guy who did our intro song, is going to be with us because it is our first Cowboys Fan Talk tomorrow. Cowboys Fan Talk with Christopher Murdow, a.k.a. Fat Pimp. He's the guy who did the intro song for us, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking to him and talking about the song, talking about what he expects from the Cowboys. And every week we'll have a different fan on. If you want to be a fan on the podcast, let me know. All you got to do is hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on X, or hit us up on TikTok. It's Defending the Boys on all three of them. All right. Well, that's it. This is Defending the Boys. I am D. Will. And I'm